Hello, I'm Richard Sher, and it's time again to square off and let's meet this week's feisty panel. Former Republican delegate Pat McDonough, welcome back to the show. WBAL's popular morning co-hosts, they own 5:30 to 10. Bryan Nehman, Square Off original panelist. 40 years ago, he started on Square Off. National prominent attorney Billy Murphy. And we welcome back former WJZ personality. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to get Gelfman. Dick, good to see you.
Good to see you.
President Biden's State of the Union address is getting high marks in an instant CNN poll. 6 in 10 Americans who watched Biden's speech say they came away feeling positive about it and about him. Bryan Nehman, you start us off today.
Well, he took his vitamin B12 shots, his Ginkgo biloba, and had his Red Bull, and he had a lot of energy and he had a lot of fire, and he did what he needed to do, which was prove to Democrats that he was the man for the job, that he has the energy, that he's the Millennium Falcon. It may be old, but it will still run, and it'll make the castle run in 12.3 parsecs. So mission accomplished on that front. But other than that, it was a very partisan speech, and, but it did the job for Joe Biden last night.
All right, good comment, Bryan. Dick Gelfman.
It left me sort of confused, like, now where do I go? I mean, it wasn't really a State of the Union. It was a campaign speech. Yes. And I mean, I'm certainly willing to listen to a campaign speech, but I also would have liked to have heard an honest State of the Union speech. So now I've got somebody, again, I've got that age issue, which really does bother me. But on the other hand, we've got somebody that I can't trust to cross the street with him. I mean, it really, it's making me crazy. So now where do I go? I didn't hear any call last night on him, for example, to try to attract any of the Nikki Haley people. I think he could have done that. And I think it might have been a good thing. But we'll see where we go. I don't know. I have no idea. I am more confused now than I've ever been. And that's saying a lot.
It is, because I've known you for a long time.
Right.
Delegate Pat McDonough, what do you think? What did you think?
It was an angry speech. It was a divisive and polarizing speech. It was a hardcore political speech designed to pull in the progressives and the Democrat Party. As Dick said, it didn't reach out to Haley people. It didn't reach out to independents. It was just a hardcore political speech. Now, I understand why he did it. He had to take advantage of it. He's in deep doo-doo. The numbers are bad all over the place. This border thing's going to take him down. There's going to be more murders. There's going to be more problems. He had to do what he did, but it was an angry, partisan, polarizing speech that told me nothing about issues that I care about that he didn't talk about.
Billy Murphy.
Well, see, the problem with him not talking about issues that you didn't care about is because you don't care about the issues that the American people,
now, see, Richard, you don't want me to. You don't want me.
Hold on, now, Pat. You had your turn.
Richard, you don't want
me. Hold it. You had your turn. You had your turn, Pat. Pat, you had your turn.
Come on. Listen,
everybody.
Richard,
the reason that you didn't hear issues that you didn't care about.
Hold it,
I'm
please.
Say this right now. Richard, you told me not to interrupt people, but I'm telling you face to face that if people attack me, like Billy started off by attacking me, if we're going to attack people instead of talk about the issue, I'm coming in.
All right. Well, let me change what I said, because we don't need to have that kind of interruption. I respect you. I like you even.
Well, then stop attacking me.
I'm not going to hold it. I'm attacking your stand on the issues, not you personally. And one of the issues that affects the American public right now, and hopefully a large majority of the men, is what we have done to take away women's rights. And it's shameless, and it's an important issue. And it should be important to the Republican Party. And I'm glad it's not, because you're going to lose the election because of it. I thought Joe Biden went down the issues list, put the Republicans properly on the defensive because right now they are lost. They don't have an agenda. They don't have a common sense approach to the problems of the American people. They can't get anything done. They are so far to the right that Biden's going to win the popular vote by at least 6 million, and he's going to win the Electoral College. And you heard it from me first.
You know, has anybody ever really stopped and thought a bit? You know, we know what happened after the last election. Let's assume for just a moment that Trump does not win in this upcoming election. What the heck's going to happen then? What's he going to do then? You know,
Well,
I mean,
run for president again in 4 years. I mean, that's how much control he has over the party right now.
Yeah, but are we going to be looking at another incursion into Capitol Hill? Or are we going to be looking at some march somewhere else where people are injured?
But I mean, look, that's the problem with Trump because he is extending the unlawful arc of the presidency in a way that if he wins, we won't be able to stop it. And I don't see a false equivalency here like some of you do, because it's a clear choice. Either we're going to protect our republic, we're going to maintain the strength of our institutions, we're going to return a peaceful transition of power to the American people, we're going to get rid of somebody who is threatening to turn America upside down and divide America even worse than it is than he's already done.
So Billy,
why is there a difficult choice?
All of that is nonsense. It's total nonsense. The American people have already rejected Trump. Look at the polls, Billy. Look at the border. Look at the record 10 million people coming across the border. Look at New York City. Look at the economy on the record of the polls and how the women of America feel when they go to the supermarket. I don't know what world you're living in, but I'm going to tell you, the people of America have rejected Joe Biden. They are scared to death of him. Even the liberals are saying, like Dick Gelfman, what the hell am I going to have for the next 4 years after I had this mess for 4 years? I don't know what world you're living in, but the American people and a lot of the women do not care about Joe Biden, except they fear him. 4 more years of this nonsense? You got to be kidding.
Bryan, let me say this. 62% of this is a CNN poll. 62% of those polled say that the policies Biden is proposing will move the United States in the right direction. And just over 6 in 10 Americans who watched the State of the Union address expressed some confidence that President Biden will protect American democracy. Bryan, please comment.
All right. Well, I mean, you have a situation where Billy just outlined the reasons to vote against Donald Trump. And that's where the Democrats are right now. It's not to vote for Joe Biden. It's to vote against Donald Trump. They don't have a whole lot to run on. Yeah, he's going to get a little bit of a bounce from this, but how long is it going to last? It's going to be a sugar high. That's all it's going to be until the next gaffe that he makes or the next problem that he has. He's losing on the border and he's losing on the economy. Can the economy get better? Yeah, I suppose, but I think it's kind of already baked in the cake. Look, at this point, it's a toss-up, and it comes down to turnout, and it comes down to making sure that the base hears what you're saying and to not lose the base. And that's where Biden's in somewhat of a trouble, because he can't go too far on the border because he's going to upset the squad. He can't go too far with Israel and Hamas because he's going to upset Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan. So he's kind of stuck in this weird predicament here. I don't think anybody really knows which way we're going. 5 months from now, there's 1,000 things that could happen from now, but it is a choice, it seems. And it worked in 2022 for Democrats. What they're going to do is make it a referendum on Trump. But the reality is it is still going to be a referendum on Biden, and that's his problem right now.
Exactly right. And also, the American people that I talk to, and I talk to a lot of them, are fearful of the future of this country. They don't have the confidence that the country is going to make it. It's not about the democracy BS that Billy's talking about, because the Democrats are the ones that are against the Supreme Court. He insulted the Supreme Court right in front of them. Didn't have to do that. But there's other issues related to the electoral college, things that the Democrats and the radical left are attacking. We don't have a radical left in the Republican Party. We don't have an AOC who supports Hamas. We don't have those kind of people in the Republican Party. But I will tell you this, the American people are fearful about the future. They don't trust Biden. They don't believe Biden's going to give them a future. Trump talks about the future. He talks about what he's going to do. He talks about issues that matter to people. He talks about the tax cuts. He talks about a lot of issues like the border. What was the border like when Trump was there? 2.5 million. What is the border like with Biden in 3 years? 10 million. Cities overwhelmed. You got to be kidding. Nobody's going to vote for Biden. Biden is going to go down in a big number in this election.
Dick Gelfman.
You know what happens, though, is, part of the reason, and I didn't like hearing the president criticizing the Supreme Court right in front of him, but it ain't the first time. Remember who started some of that open criticizing of the court every time you get a decision you don't like, calling them a bunch of hacks and things like that, was Trump. I mean, he's the
Barack
one that
Obama
sort of
was
gave
actually the first one to do it.
Barack Obama was the king of that.
And then Trump did it. Yeah, you're right.
No, Franklin Roosevelt
I don't
was
like
the
when any of
first.
them do it.
the whole idea of it, though, the whole politicization of everything. Sure, we all know, when I was in law school 100 years ago, the thing was, hey, you could never tell. You might appoint a president, might appoint some liberal like Berger, and he ends up Chief Justice of the court, rather being in this way, he's that way. It was like that was sort of, you sort of expected certain things. You conjectured about it. You say, what kind? But now there's like an open hostility. It's like, oh, well, they're Trump judges. So they're
I'm not buying it, Dick. I'm not buying it. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm not buying it because
there's too much of that.
Donald Trump has been the most disrespectful president of you name it across the board. The language he uses is outrageous. He is doing something that we've never seen the president of the United States do before. He's putting America in a terrible position around the world because world leaders know he's a dummy. World leaders know he's a racist. World leaders know that he is a know-nothing president who talks more than he does. And he is in Putin's pocket. That's obvious. And why do we want a president that's in Putin's pocket? Please explain that to me. And so there are a whole lot of reasons to vote for Joe Biden. There are very few to vote for Donald Trump.
That's what you say, Billy, but you're wrong. The American people don't agree with you. You're out in left field buying the Democrat Biden.
Okay, $500 bet.
All right. Listen,
$500 bet.
I'm not interested in betting with you or anybody else. I'm going to say my piece. The point is this, that nobody believes in Biden. The Democrats don't believe in Biden. The progressives are tearing apart the Democrat Party. Your party is falling apart in pieces. Now you say, okay, it's just the mega peak on the Republican side. Let me tell you something. The Republicans in general, whether they're mega, non-mega, anti-Trump, philosophically and agenda-wise, they all believe the same. They're all Ronald Reagan when it comes to the agenda. All of them.
They're not.
They're all going to vote.
They're all going to vote. Reagan, it's not even funny.
Billy, what was your thing last night?
Republican people are, let me tell you, you don't even talk to them. I associate with them in large numbers all over.
I know a lot of Republicans. What are you talking about?
You don't associate with them. You argue with them. You don't associate with them.
I have good friends who are Republicans. I listen to
Billy,
what they say.
Billy, what was the thing last night that he said where he came down and he said, I promise I'm going to restore Roe versus Wade? How's he going to do that? If you don't like
he can pass a federal statute that overrules,
which can be declared unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. What is the easy question? What is the supreme law of the land? Supreme law of the land is the Supreme Court, correct?
Just wasting time.
No, not necessarily. It's the Supreme Court chairs the judiciary, but the Congress is the Supreme Court of the land for the overwhelming majority of our laws. And yes, the Congress has the right.
I never saw that.
And when Congress passes a law, the Supreme Court doesn't like it.
Congress has the right to overrule the Supreme Court on a wide variety of issues.
All right, guys. Final word on this from Bryan Nehman, then we'll take a break.
And
Brian,
by the way, the Supreme Court was handpicked to roll back affirmative action, kill Roe versus Wade, and expand the presidential power to its imperial glory.
you are Billy bustering, but we like it. Makes a good show. Brian, wrap this.
Look, it's the most unpopular election we've ever had. People don't want Biden. People don't want Donald Trump. And I disagree with the delegate because I don't think that all of the Republicans are behind Donald Trump one bit. I think it's going to take him a lot to bring Republicans home. I think he can do it. And I think there's a lot on his side working to that advantage when it comes to immigration and to the economy. But it is still a heavy lift for Donald Trump to win at this point. But nobody's satisfied. There's a chance that independent makes an impact on this election. But you basically have two candidates who people may be voting against, not necessarily for.
I think more Republicans are for him than against him, and many more. Only a small rhinos are against him. That's all.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the voice of Square Off, Howard Mallison. Howard.
Thank you, Richard. You know, I'm sure you've seen some of the Barry Glazer TV commercials. They're different, they get your attention, and they also get results. That's why Barry Glazer and his team, including an in-house doctor, make no apologies for getting every penny they can from the insurance companies. So when it comes to personal injury, medical malpractice, or nursing home neglect, please, if there's only one choice, Barry Glazer, give him a call at 410-547-8568. And you know, there's a lot of diners in Baltimore, and most famous of them all are the Double T diners. TT, totally terrific. You're sure to find the best breakfast, lunch, or dinner from the Double T's enormous menu selections. There's Double T diners locations on Route 40, Perry Hall, White Marsh, Annapolis, Pasadena, and the EC Diner in Ellicott City. Plus, try By the Docks in Middle River for their Monday night lobster specials. They're all in the Double T family. Back to you, Richard.
Howard, I'm hungry. All right. I want to take a moment to let ladies and gentlemen who watch the show know that Square Off is now building a viewer list. Not sure what we're going to do with it, what you might get by getting on the list, but we'd like you to be included. So go onto our website, squareoff.net, and click on Watch Square Off at hotmail.com. It says, we want to hear from you. Watch Square Off at hotmail.com. Let us know what you think of the show, of our panelists, and why you watch this program. So do that for us, if you will. Back to polling. A newly released poll of the Democratic candidates for mayor of Baltimore in the upcoming May 14th primary. This was conducted by Garin Hart Yang Research Group, former Mayor Sheila Dixon, and this poll receives 40% of the vote compared to incumbent Mayor Brandon Scott with 37% of the vote, all well within the margin of error. Mayor Scott says the poll is a statistical dead heat, adding, quote, nobody in this race is going to outlast or beat me in a race to the finish. What do you think about that, Billy?
I think Brandon's in trouble. I think he's a really nice person, but he's had very, very difficult time getting this city to where it ought to be. We have potholes all over town. We can't even get the trash collected. We've got schools that believe in social promotion, which not only is an outmoded notion, but it is outrageous for an educational institution to pass people who can't even read or do the math. We have terrible problems in this city with crime. He has not been the one responsible for reducing it because crime is also demographic in nature in the sense that there are groups of people who get bigger and smaller, and that accounts for the changes in the crime statistics and not the change in city policy. We've still got problems with the police. They're not doing their job. They're sitting on their hands. There are a lot of good officers, but there are a lot of bad ones too that need to go. So he's in trouble.
All right, that's your opinion. We appreciate that. I do want to mention that former federal prosecutor and occasional Square Off panelist, Dharuv Vignarajah, has 10% in the poll. Businessman Bob Wallace, 6, and 8% are undecided. Dick, Pat, Bryan?
Talk to your friends and say, hey, let's go to dinner tonight. Yeah, I want to go to Baltimore. Yeah, I don't know if I feel safe. And that's the bulk. When people say, I just don't feel safe here, they can kick around whatever statistics they want about whether crime is up, whether it's down, whether squeegee kids are there, whether there's a lot of car thefts, whether there's juvenile. The fact is, people don't feel safe. And until that begins to change, when the whole squeegee issue was on, I couldn't get that. Richard, I would have called you up. I had no other to call. I was that desperate to find somebody to go to dinner with, but nobody wanted to go. And I would feel terrible. I would feel terrible about it because the great restaurants of Little Italy and the other places in Baltimore you want to go to patronize because it is a great city. You say, I just don't know if I feel comfortable. And that ticks me off. It really does, because Baltimore deserves better than that.
I agree.
On the other hand, you've got people who are making huge investments in the city.
Hold
like
on.
Alex Smith and his restaurant group. He's continuing to build one excellent restaurant after another. And he believes in this town. And so there are people who are willing to put up their own money who believe that Baltimore is a city of tremendous potential.
All right, Pat, you started.
I agree with Dick, and I also agree. Finally, I get to agree with my brother Billy, but I disagree on one point. I believe that Brandon Scott is going to win the election, and I will tell you why. The minute that all of those candidates got into that race, the minute that Mr. Wallace and Sheila, if Sheila and Billy were in that, if Sheila and Scott were in that race, Sheila would win it going away. She's going to lose it because of the multiplicity of people in the race. That's just politics. That's how campaigns work. If you have a multiplicity of candidates, makes a difference. I mean, ask all these other candidates like Al Gore and others in the past. Ask Senior Bush about people that are in the race. It's going to break it up, and he's going to win it. But I totally agree. The city is a complete failure in so many respects. And for these people who say they want to build restaurants and they want to build theaters and they want to take the ballpark downtown and put movie theaters and stuff near it and all this stuff, just go down on Pratt Street and Light Street and visit the restaurants and like Phillips and all of those different places. Go visit them and do a public safety audit and how the owners feel. Dick is right. People are not going down there. So it's a failure, but he's going to get reelected and you're going to be stuck 4 more years.
Well, I think Brandon Scott a year ago would have been dead in the water. Brandon Scott today, I think he's got a pretty good chance. I'm somewhat bullish on his opportunity or chance to win this thing because the murder rate is down significantly. And he can run on that. He can say, look, 8 years, the murder rate was over 300 by a lot, 340. And I've brought it under 300 for the first time in essentially a decade. My policies are starting to get traction. I'm picking up trash now, including recycling, twice a week. We're starting to get progress in a lot of different things. It's time for you to give me a chance for 4 more years. Plus, he's going after a flawed candidate in Sheila Dixon, a multi-time loser in Through Vignarajah. I love the guy, but he loses and loses and loses elections. And I agree with Pat. I mean, I think that hurts. That hurts Sheila tremendously. Now, it's possible. One of the another caveats to this, just like the third party candidate for Trump versus Biden, is that Theroux or Bob Wallace decide to get out between now and May. And if that happens, then that helps out Sheila a little bit. The bike lanes issue is also something that might hurt him a little bit, but I still think that he's got a story to tell of slow success that people might buy into.
Let's talk about whether the number of candidates is going to hurt anybody in particular. I think the more the merrier, because Sheila's supporters are very strong. They're loyal. They're more encouraged now than ever. And so if the vote gets diluted on Brandon's side with these other candidates, and remember that's why Brandon won the first time, because of the vote getting diluted. It wasn't because he was overwhelmed with
True.
overwhelming as a candidate.
Yeah.
And so I think the same thing can happen this time, only it's going to probably tilt in Sheila's favor.
But do you think that a
okay.
Theroux vote or a Bob Wallace voter is going to go for Brandon instead of Sheila?
She's 15 points. She's 15 points in the hole
Yeah.
already. And the fact of the matter is that Brandon is going to have a lot of money. We know that. He's going to be on television. Baltimore City is a television city when it comes to politics and campaign decisions. He's going to run smart ads. He's going to run ads, everything that Billy said. Billy could write his ads for him. That's what he's going to talk about. And they're not going to be able to match him.
We're going to stop. When we come back, I'm going to give each of you about 30 seconds to tell our viewers what is really ticking you off right now. Howard.
Thank you, Richard. For fine dining, special occasions, or just watching sports in the sports bars, Pappas should be your #1 choice. Enjoy a Pappas crab cake, or as Richard calls it, the fab cake, which is Oprah's favorite,
Right.
or one of the many delicious choices on the Pappas menu. Pappas ships their crab cakes all over the country. And with 4 locations, you can't beat Pappas. And their newest location is in Bel Air. So we're going to see you at Pappas. Be sure to be there. And also, Leading Edge Auto Body and Mechanical Repair want you to know that the insurance companies cannot tell you where to take your car. Richard and his family have been taking their cars to Leading Edge for years. They work on all makes and models. They offer free pickup anywhere in the Baltimore area. Call Leading Edge at 410-433-6433 or visit them at 5807 Falls Road in the heart of Mount Washington. They make your car look and run like new again. Back to you, Richard.
And as I mentioned, they took care of my sister-in-law Jeannie's car, her little Honda Fit, and they just do a great job. All right, 30 seconds. What is ticking you off, Pat?
Well, frankly, I lead a blessed life, and I thank the Lord for that. But beyond that, Annapolis in the legislature, the Maryland General Asylum ticks me off every time they go into session. And I spent 20 years in that torture chamber, and that's why I am the way I am today.
Very excellent. Excellent. Bryan, how about you? What's ticking you off?
The professional protesters who shut down streets. They did it right before the State of the Union last night. And I, for the life of me, can't understand how we have how many thousands of police officers in Washington, D.C. who didn't drag those little rats off of the street and onto the sidewalk and then handcuff them. I need Congress or whoever to pass a law that says when you shut down streets and stop people from going to work or picking up their kids, that you can get up to 2-3 years in jail. I'm tired of those people. Don't allow them to do it anymore. And if someone were to run them over by chance, if I were on the jury, I'm not sure how I'd vote.
Excellent. Billy.
I'm upset with parts of the minority community and parts of the women's community who don't understand how dangerous Donald Trump is and that this is a binary election. It's 2 folks you got to choose between. And we got to get out of the thought habit of wishing it was somebody else, because that train has pulled out of the station. And we've got to focus very clearly on which candidate is acting in our best interest. And that's an easy choice.
Okay. Dick, wrap it.
Well, this is a way to end it, but I'm still a little upset that journalism sort of died a long time ago, real journalism. I mean, now when you hear stations say such and such has learned that, you know how they learned it? They saw it on a different station. That's how they learned it. You know, there's no fact checking. There's a lot of stories that still come out that they might say something like, we haven't confirmed it yet, but, well, I got news for you folks. If you haven't confirmed it yet, don't report it. It's that kind of TV journalism that's there, but real journalism died a long time ago, and it ticks me off.
All right. I want to tell you what's really ticking me off. The 2 potholes that I ran over yesterday, one on Northern Parkway and one on the JFX. I thought I was going to end up in China. I have never been through anything. It's just incredible. And I close with this. I invite any of you to drive northbound on the Jones Falls Expressway and get off at exit 10 B, Northern Parkway. As you round the turn, you think you mistakenly entered the Baltimore City dump. The city is filthy dirty. I don't know what can be done about it, but I can't believe people throw all this crap out their windows. Anyway, hope you said, don't forget we're going to daylight savings time this week. Spring forward.
Hey,
Get your information into squareoff.net. Watch squareoff@hotmail.com. Let us know who you are. Thanks, Billy. Thank you, Dick. Pat, good to see you. Brian, always a pleasure. Be listening to you on Monday with C4 at 5:30 on WBAL. And I'll see you next time when once again we square off. Bye-bye, everybody.